Blog Talk Radio.
Mysteries abound around the world, from strange lights in the night sky to ghostly apparitions passing from one realm to the next. From the Great Pyramids of Egypt to what lies beneath the depths of Loch Ness. From Bigfoot to Atlantis, they are all mysteries waiting to be solved. Join Laurie Phillips and Lauren Smith as they search for the truth on Nite Callers Radio.
August 17th, 2014, and you are listening to Nite Callers Radio. I want to welcome everyone that is listening by phone or through the computer or even in our chat. So we're glad that you're all here, and we're really excited. We're going to have a really great show tonight. And, well, here we are. We're here with Lauren and Billy and Graz, same crew as last week, and we're hoping that we do better than we did last week. Actually, we did fairly good last week. I don't want to say that we didn't. I think that we did a fairly good job considering everybody was having personal issues, between being sick and sick kids and moving and everything else. It was actually, I think these guys really came to the forefront and did an excellent job, and I just want to say that. So anyway, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to get the show on the road. I'm excited about our guests tonight, and I'm excited to have Billy Simmons and Graz Hopper here tonight with us, helping us out. I hope we can put on a really good show for everybody.
Well, I sure hope so. Billy, how you doing? Who is that? Who's that?
That was Graz. I'm just floating around in the background here.
Okay. Well, let's talk to me, Graz. Let's see if you're louder than you were before the show started.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hi. Well, blah blah. Hamana.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay, how about you, Billy? Let's hear a countdown from you so we hear how you sound.
I think Billy's on hold.
What? Oh, my goodness. Why is he on hold?
Y'all put me on hold.
Hold on. Oh, he dropped. No.
Who?
No,
Billy?
I took him off the hold. Why he was on hold, I have no idea. No wonder he hasn't been saying anything.
I see.
The power of the internet.
Yeah.
Something I'd like to do on a personal basis sometimes, but the power of the internet.
I'd be my phone. Everybody else hears Graz fine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd just be my phone. Anyway, we have a guest tonight, and his name is Brandon Garrett, and we'll be getting to him in just a moment. I think he is on hold. that may be him. But first of all, I just wanted to see how everybody was doing, and right now Lauren is in the midst of packing. She's fixing to move. Grass has moved, and Billy is in the thinking about moving, and everybody is moving. Just making it kind of tough for all of us to be our 100% for this show, but we're here. We're here. So how you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to this show, and I'm going to keep the coffee hotter here at the campfire. Everybody pull up a chair. It's going to be interesting night.
I heard that. Well, Lauren, if you want to go ahead and read. Well, Raz, do you have it? I tell you what, I just kind of flew in here and got on the computer, and I'm sorry that I'm not very prepared. I just got dinner on the table, shoving it down my throat as the clock was ticking down, and so here I am, and we're here, and not very professional, and I apologize, but we're
okay, stop. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and read the intro, because you're about
That sounds great. You go ahead.
So, our guest tonight, Brandon Garrett, we're beginning our radio show. We're coming back with the North American Sasquatch Researcher Series. We're beginning with Texas-born Brandon Garrett. He was raised mostly in Texas with some time in Colorado. Brandon had his first Bigfoot sighting at age 7, which is phenomenal. I cannot even imagine what that would be like. That's phenomenal right there. This sighting altered the course of Brandon's life, where he not only sought any knowledge of this creature that he could find, but he also studied other mysterious subjects as well. Now 38 years old, Brandon has acquired much experience in the subject and has an abundance of experiences to share with our listeners. Brandon's major interests include cryptozoology, nature, herbology, ghosts, physics, physiology, and survivalism, which I personally find awesome. Brandon is the director and co-founder of the Texas Unified Natural Research. Stay tuned for a truly great and informative show. I will be putting Brandon's links in the chat as we go. And now Mom will bring Brandon on for me.
Okay. Brandon, are you with us?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome to Nite Callers Radio.
Well, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today. How about y'all?
We're doing pretty good. I feel like I just slid in here half crazy, but I'm here.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. It's like, we went visiting this afternoon, and we stayed too long, and it just really kind of, put me behind on trying to get in here. And so, but anyway, everything is good, and I'm so glad that you come on the show, and we really are very interested in hearing about you and your research. So, okay, I wanted to introduce you to everyone else here. Lauren is handling the chat. She's also going to probably have questions for you, along with Billy Simmons. He's from Texas, and Raz is from Washington State. So they'll have questions for you, too. So, everyone, this is Brandon Garrett. Brandon? I'm going to go ahead and start out with, I want to know about your sighting at 7 years old. That was pretty much the beginning for you, wasn't it?
Well, for the most part, that's what really got me into it. My dad and my uncle were, doing it, long before then. And we had this state park, like, almost directly across the street from where I grew up. Well, we used to go out there quite
a bit. Was this in Texas? May I interrupt for a second? Was it in Texas?
Yes, ma'am. It was in Texas.
Okay. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we used to go out there quite a bit. And we knew stuff was in the area. You know, my dad and my uncle were researching the area anyway. And as a family, we used to go out there all the time. And one evening I was riding my bike. I was 7. So I was riding my bike, and the rest of everybody was behind me. I was up ahead. As I'm riding down this one road, I happened to see something standing there on the edge of the woods. It was kind of a clearing, clearing there, and then there was the edge of the woods. And I saw it. I stopped, and I'm like, "Oh wow, what is this?" I started yelling back at my dad, "The hairy man over here, Dad! The hairy man over here!" And
were you scared?
No, I was a little, freaked out mostly. I don't know about really scared, but I was just more like, "Whoa, what is what's going on here?" Kind of thing. And as I started screaming, and my dad starts running up, and it turns and walks into the tree line. It looked like it was holding a rabbit or something. I never could figure out exactly what it was holding, but it snapped a sapling over, a sapling pine tree over, and went into the trees. And that was it for me right there.
And was this sighting during the daytime?
It was in the evening. It was close to dusk.
Mm. So you were already aware of the existence of Bigfoot before you had this sighting?
Yeah, I was already aware of it.
And so it didn't scare you? I mean, I'm just trying to picture this, Brandon, as a little kid. When I was 7 years old, and if my parents were out looking for monsters, I'm just going to tell you, it would have scared me. I would have stayed petrified, hid under the covers, under my bed, or I just to know something like that is out there at a very young age.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Billy and Graz, I just want to let you know, if you want to chime in, have any questions, just jump in. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Well, Brandon, you can tell us how you felt about that sighting at that time and what kind of reaction you had to it, other than just going back and calling your dad.
Well, I was pretty freaked out. I mean, it was something that I wasn't expecting to see. I mean, like I said, I knew about them, but I wasn't expecting to see it, and it really caught me off guard. And I mean, I can't say that I was really scared, but I was more like in shock in a way, I guess you could say. It really freaked me out.
Can you describe what you saw exactly?
From the best of my memory, that was 31 years ago. Yeah. From the best of my memory, I couldn't judge a height, now, but I would say it was fully black, fully haired. I couldn't see facial features or anything like that. It was a little bit of distance away from me, but it was fully black, well muscular, and, built. Really built. Not really like the Patty, the Patterson Gimlin.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly like that, but it was similar. In the best of my memory now.
Wow.
Mm.
So you called to your dad, and did your dad come? And
he came running up there where I was at, because I was a little bit of distance away from him, and he come running up there, and by the time he got there, it was already kind of pretty much gone. I think he said he saw a flash of it going into the trees.
Okay, well, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
What was his reaction to what had happened, what was going on?
Kind of surprised that I saw it, mostly, and he was pretty excited. Because, like I said, him and my uncle were researching that area already, so. So I kind of grew up in it, I guess you could say.
Your dad had pretty much seen Bigfoot previous to you doing it.
Oh yeah, he's had multiple sightings all over the country.
Do you remember how he actually brought up the subject of Bigfoot to you and told you about it as a young child? Because, apparently at 7 you already knew about it. Do you remember how? I'm just trying to imagine this because I remember telling Lauren, and she was like 9, but I don't remember exactly how I told her. But when she was hearing something running across our roof, I had to... I had to finally tell her what it was, and Lauren, do you remember exactly what I said to you, or has it just been too long ago?
I think you just told me, I think you started out just telling me, oh, well, I've been in these chat rooms, and they're talking about, the Bigfoot and stuff, and, and I'm learning a lot about it, and I think I've had an experience, and, I think that's kind of how it started out, and then it just developed from there. You started, going on outings and taking me with you, scaring the living daylights out of me, all that.
Oh. Brandon, did you have the same kind of upbringing as my poor daughter over there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, good to know I have a kindred spirit here.
It was really similar.
Not your average everyday family. I'll have to say that,
No.
No.
Wow.
Okay, so before we move on, does anyone else have any more questions about his sighting at 7? No? Okay. So, Brandon, where did it take you from there? What from 7 years old and seeing this, did you continue through your childhood and up into your teenage years researching Bigfoot from that point, or did you blow it off for a few years and pick it up later, or how did it go?
Well, pretty much it was kind of, I don't want to say an obsession, but,
It is.
but
okay.
kind of,
yeah.
I guess you could kind of call it that. Pretty much, my whole life up till now, ever since then, it's.
Wow.
Bigfoot's kind of like the Matrix. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Or once you know about it, you can't. You can't go out in the woods and just be into camping or hunting or just anything to do with nature without thinking about it.
Right.
It changes you. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it kind of gets in your blood, I guess.
So when you go out and research, Brandon, what do you do exactly? What do you call researching?
It really depends. It really depends on where I'm at. I live down here in Sam Houston National Forest. If anybody's familiar with that area,
yes.
So, the kind of environment there. And that's where I'm at most of the time. But I also have other areas that I go to. But most of the time, most of the time I'm in like real swampy, forested areas.
Right.
So I'm get everybody out there. We usually get them out, the team together, go out there for a few days camping, or as long as everybody's free, everybody's got jobs and everything. So
yeah.
and we'll go out, break off into different spots, and do a lot of hiking. A lot of hiking involved.
So when you're hiking, are you looking for evidence? Is that why you're hiking, or what? Why?
Yeah.
It sounds like a stupid question, but why? What is your purpose of hiking? Is my question. I guess should be.
Well, we're hiking the game trails and looking for any kind of evidence we can find, footprints, broken trees, stick structures, anything like that, and listening for for any kind of vocals or whatever we can find. Sometimes you find quite a bit, sometimes you don't find nothing.
Yeah.
But get down into the swamps and stuff and look for any kind of prey. Look for things that could have been could be potential food supplies, food sources, and get up into the into the trees and stuff, into the forest, and walk along the rivers and creeks, and pretty much just look for anything we can find in both day and night. We're doing that. A lot of times at night, we'll set up our camp, have our main base camp, and then we'll set up camp somewhere else for that night, camp somewhere else for that night, and see what if anything comes and visits our camp, what we can hear. Anything that happens that we can get reported.
Yeah. So you do use recording equipment?
Yeah, we use recording equipment. We use game cameras, video cameras, of course. We have some therms that we use.
Oh.
So
that's nice to have thermal imaging.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It was like Raz was talking about that. Last week on the show he was talking about thermal imaging, and he was saying it removes all doubt. If you've got a dark spot, you hear something moving in it, and it's at night, you can always turn on that thermal camera and find out what it is making that noise.
Yeah,
right.
Usually you can.
We do have a question from the chat.
Okay.
Tina would like to know, do you ever use bait areas?
Not really. We'll experiment every now and then with something, but as far as baiting goes, no. Very, very, very rarely have we ever do we bait. We used to try it a lot. We've never had any real success with it. Have more success with without it, basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a not really necessary thing, around here. I don't know about other parts of the country, but around here it's not really necessary.
Right.
Well, can you tell us about...
If I may have a question or comment, this controversy that people have been having about game cams. How do you feel about them actually being able to work, and whether or not Bigfoot actually knows they're there and avoids it?
They know that they're there. As far as them actually working, that's kind of a hit and miss thing. We have actually caught one image on a game camera, and I don't know if it was by accident or not, but there was a image. We're still not sure exactly what it was. It was a few years ago, but there was you can see a deer in the picture, and then behind the deer, some brush, and there's something standing up over the brush, looking down at the deer. We're still not sure exactly what it was. But yeah, I do know that they know they're there, I don't think they really try to avoid them, so to speak. I don't know, why they don't want to get really in front of it too much. I mean, it happens. But as far as really knowing what they are, they don't know what they are. I think it's more, to me, the way I look at it, it's more the matter that the lens, might resemble an eye to it, in some way to them.
Yeah.
Either, in, prey and predator, either way, don't want to be seen. So, they're not gonna, it's just, more of an instinct thing. I think more than anything else.
Have you ever heard anyone say that they can see the infrared?
Yeah, I think they, me personally, I think they might be able to see the infrared myself, to some extent, because there are, they don't, the average game cam doesn't use, true infrared. It's near infrared, which actually, some people can actually see it. So.
Yeah. Wow.
And if you look, it's been reports of cases of people claiming that they can see it.
Okay.
But if you when you look at the LED, the infrared LED, and you can see the glow, that red glow, that's because it's not true infrared. If it was true infrared, you wouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit, past red.
Well, my next question is, have you had any more sightings since you saw the one when you were 7 years old?
Yeah, actually I have.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Just a couple of years ago, this was one of my best sightings. Just a couple of years ago, I had a couple guys with me. We were just out fishing. This is actually how they found out what I do. They didn't know at the time. They just spent a lot of time in this one area. Well, I took them with me out there fishing, and we stayed out on this, camped out on this island, and we had 3 of them that moved in on the island and surrounded our camp and stayed with us for most of the night. It started out with some deer that came up and some pigs, average stuff. But then, later on we could hear, one of the guys was already asleep because it was later in the night. Me and another guy were sitting there by the fire talking, we start hearing this, chatter coming up, and I'm like, oh, I know what this is. I didn't say anything.
What kind of chatter?
They were just communicating back and forth to each other, chattery sound that they make. Personally, I think it's another language.
Okay.
Myself, this
is it
sounds like
deep and guttural, or?
No, actually, they're more high pitched.
Huh. Wow.
And more of a higher pitch. This time I've heard deeper guttural before, but I don't know if they're females or what. I think they were just a family group that were moving through their hunting myself. And we started hearing that coming up and splashing, because it's a group of islands, and they're all connected by shallow water. So they were we've done a lot of work in this area before, so we know that they island hop across there, hunting for pigs. And start hearing that, and I'm thinking, okay, just to get some activity. And he's just kind of looking, like, what in the world? They come up around us. Had one on each side of it. It was 3 of them. We had one on each side of us. One stayed by the water.
Okay, so you were just hearing them. You weren't actually seeing them at this point.
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Right now, it was just hearing them. Well, one stayed by the water, and I'm assuming it was the dominant, because he would say something, another one would say something back and move, and then it just kept going like that, and just moving around us. Just right out of our lamplight. So we had a lantern going, and you can hear them in the footsteps and everything as they moved around, and they just chatting back and forth to each other. My buddy, he's sitting with his flashlight just shining all over the place. he's like, whoa, what's going on?
Looking for eye shine. Eye shine.
Well, he was a skeptic. He didn't know what was going on.
Man.
And I'm gonna throw this in there too. He was actually an ex-cop. So.
Wow.
So it was like totally blowing his mind. Finally I look at him and say, "Are you hearing what I'm hearing?" He goes, "Yeah, that sounds like it's on two legs." I said, "Yeah." I didn't say anything. I just kind of like listening, and everything. And finally, they move off. You could hear them. They just get together and move off, and we're like, okay. And just going splashing back on to another island. A few hours, we're just sitting there talking about it, and I didn't reveal anything, what it was. I was just kind of like, okay, Well, a few hours later, they come back, and they stayed with us all the way until daybreak, till the sun started coming up.
Wow.
And at one point, I'm hearing something. I'm hearing something down in the palmettos in front of us. So I take my flashlight and I just shine it inside there where I'm hearing it. And sure enough, right there in between two of the palmettos, there's a face just sitting there looking at it.
Wow. Are you able to describe the face? Was it human looking or apish or?
Yeah, it was more human looking. And this is going to sound crazy, but it actually looked like it had Caucasian skin.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. But it was, I think it was a young one, because he had, humanish features and the blondish hair that came around, except pretty much the whole face except for around the eyes.
Right.
And you could see the skin and everything. It looked Caucasian, and it just kind of just stared at me. I'm staring at it, and I told my buddy, "Chris, look right there. There's a face." He's like, "What? What are you talking about?" He started bending over like that to look. I was like, "Look right there where my light is." And right as he did, it closed its eyes and moved out of view.
Oh wow!
So and then you could hear it moving back off. It still wasn't completely light yet at this point, and then they were going around it, until daylight. Got fully daylight, and then they went on off. And I went over there where it was, and sure enough, I found a handprint there, about the same size, maybe a little bit bigger than my hand.
Wow!
Where it had been crouched down, I guess holding itself up with its hand. Well, a few days after that, me and some of the guys went back out there. We were setting up game cams on that island and see if we could catch anything. And it was me and my brother in the canoe. We were going through there, past this one island. I started hearing the chatter again. Now I look up, and sure enough, there's one standing right there on the island. Look, I mean, it's plain as day.
Was it an adult or a juvenile? Could you tell?
I think it was an adult. And it was standing there, and it looked over at us, and it looked back into the trees. And you could hear another one in the trees, and they chatting back and forth. And I'm sitting here holding my camera in my hand, and I'm just so like, so I wasn't expecting it. before I realized, hey, there's a picture, and it moves off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've been there. Myself. You don't have presence of mind when you're with. You try to be. You know what you're out there for and what you're trying to get. You're trying to get evidence. But if something happens when you're around them and see them, it just totally throws you off your game. You're just so caught up in the experience that you don't even remember that you're supposed to take a picture, or you're like, I've had experiences like that where I had an opportunity to light one up, with a video camera and a flashlight. And if I got another chance, I was going to do it, but I never got that second chance. The first time I was just I don't know what was the matter with me, but I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate, you just woulda, shoulda, coulda, but...
Exactly.
I do have a couple of questions from the chat, if you don't mind, and we also have a telephone call as well. So let me get the questions from the chat first. Digger Dog wants to know, do you use sound recording? And I think you did say you did, that you recorded, right? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and then Tina Carter says she has another question. Where your group found that campsite torn up, did you ever find out what happened at the campsite? Did you tell us about that?
We never did find out for sure what exactly happened.
Okay, you found a campsite, though, that was torn up. Can you tell us about that?
Well, actually, that was my dad and my brother that found it.
Okay.
There was actually a couple of them that have been found. But yeah, they pulled into this one research area. I was actually at work when at the time, so I wasn't with them.
Okay.
But they pulled into this one area where we do a lot of research, and they pulled in there, and there was a tent that was all torn up. The fire had been scattered all over the place, and one of the logs from the fire was on the tent, and there was stuff just everywhere, and it looked like all hell broke loose right there, and they found a bunch of footprints, both human and large bear footprints. So we went back out the next day. I went with them the next day, and it looked like it all been, most of it had been cleaned up. There were tire tracks looked like it had been just kind of flattened out and everything. They did get a really good video of what they found that night. And they had something there, in the trees at the time. So, and that's the same spot where can't remember who all was there, but I think it was my dad, Tim, and another guy. I can't remember who the other guy was, but they actually got charged in there, just a few months later, the same area. So
it sounds like a very good place to set up for the night.
Yeah, it is.
Apparently appears to be their territory, and they're very, very particular about it. Maybe it was close to, where they keep their young ones or something. There had to be some reason why that it was, they were so aggressive, especially like that. Were people hunting, or you don't know?
Oh, I don't know if they were hunting or not. There were spent bullets, spent shells all over the place, though, where somebody had been shooting.
Oh, my. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, since I wasn't there when it all happened, I can't say what exactly happened, but that's what it appeared to be anyway.
Graz, Billy, you have anything to ask him before I take this caller?
Jordan, and if you want, Lori, go ahead and go to the caller, and
okay.
I've got a couple of questions here in a little bit. I'd like to run by him.
Okay. 662. You're on Nite Callers Radio.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Henry.
That's
my favorite comedian of all time.
My salute to Robin Williams right there. Hey, Miss Lauren.
How you doing, Henry? Long time
I'm
no
doing
hear,
good.
Henry.
Huh?
Wow. Long time no hear. How have you been?
Yeah, and I see y'all got Graz and Billy on board.
Hey.
Hey.
Yes.
And
Have you ever known them to be as quiet as they are right now? I mean, they are rowdy tough guys.
That is true.
We're plotting.
That's true.
They are usually, boy, I mean, just, I even changed the show to PG-13 just in case they decided to.
Well, anyway, I wanted to say that I'm glad to be here, and glad you guys are back,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
I wanted to, I wanted to ask a few questions and do a few plugs, usual stuff I always do.
Oh, yes. It wouldn't be Nite Callers without you calling in, Henry. Go ahead. Do your thing, Henry.
What's that?
Do your thing, Henry.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Brandon, as far as the footprints, have you ever found any that had any unusual features with them, maybe mid-tarsal break or broken toes, or maybe even dermal ridges?
Well, actually, yeah, I have. I've got a cast of one that actually has a deformed foot. It's actually the side of the foot looks like it's been either injured or deformed in some way. We were able to cast that, and as far as dermal ridges, I've got some that vague dermal ridges, not real pronounced, and mid-tarsal break. They all seem to have that. So.
Wow.
Okay.
And number two, as far as the head shape of the one you saw, was it more? Was it a flat head? Was it a round head, or did it have what appeared to be maybe a what's that called? The
Sagittal crest.
Sagittal crest. Thank you. Put my mind there for a second. I mean, anyway,
the one I saw. You talking about the one I saw as a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, that one seemed to have a sagittal crest.
Okay. So you never had another. You have not had a sighting since then, but you've had experiences, right?
No, I've had a couple sightings since then.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Now, did they also have the sagittal crest, or were their heads different?
The heads were different in a lot of cases. It seems like the habitat that you're in, kind of, they have different features and different kinds of habitat. If you catch what I'm saying. Like the more swampy areas, which I do most of my work, now, they tend to have more of a rounder head and be more, not be as bulky, but be more skinny but muscular. With more.
You think that might have more to do, just a possibility that it might have more to do with their age? Like in gorillas, younger ones don't get a real pronounced sagittal crest until they're older, and their eyebrow ridges don't come out until they're older. So they just get more mature.
Right. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But I think we have actually different types inhabiting different areas, different environments.
Right. That could be true.
That's from what I've learned, that seems to be the predominant case there.
Mm-hmm.
From my experience anyway.
Wow.
It could be different in other locations, but here around this area that seems to be the case.
Now, of course, there's always the controversy. A lot of people describe three-toed footprints, that they find in the southern U.S. Are you finding those? Are you finding five-toed, or perhaps a combination of both?
I personally have not found a three-toed. I've seen photographs of three-toed prints. I haven't found one myself. Most of the prints I find are five-toed. I've found some unusual prints. Like I was saying with the injuries and stuff. But that's kind of going to be expected with that kind of habitat, that kind of lifestyle. There was one case where my brother found a very large canine-looking print up in Tennessee. We're on an expedition up in Tennessee.
Dog man.
Yeah, that's what actually that's what we were thinking, because Jeffrey Kegel, good friend of mine that we were up there with, he'd actually photographed the dog man in that same area. So.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Plug time. Okay, first of all, there are a lot of conferences coming up in this fall. I mean, there's Stacy Brown's putting on one next month down in Orlando, Florida, the Skunk Ape Conference. There's a small conference coming up in B.C., British Columbia, I think September 17th, I'm not sure. But John Green and John Vindernagel are going to be there. Plus, there's Arkansas Bigfoot Conference is coming up also. That was supposed to be scheduled for May, but what happened was there was a tornado and it hit the town, so they weren't able to put that conference on. But that's being put on by Robert Swain, who is the creator of Sasquatch. I got to meet him last year at the Oklahoma Bigfoot Symposium.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
Don't start that again.
Yeah, that's Laura.
Anyway, and then there was the Oklahoma Bigfoot Symposium the first weekend of October. I'm not sure who all is going to be speaking. I know
Do you
one
know
of
where
them
it's going to be?
What's that?
Do you know where it's going to be?
That's going to be in Stillwell, Oklahoma.
Stillwell. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of in the northeast corner.
Okay.
Yeah. And then going to be the Yakima Bigfoot Roundup 2014. That'll be in Yakima, Washington. And going to be honoring several of the pioneers of Sasquatch research. That's going to be in Bob Gimlin's hometown, so he'll be there, along with Jeff Meldrum and Chris Murphy, John Vindernagel, Bill Munns, Cliff Berkman from Finding Bigfoot. Bobo is going to be there.
All right.
Yeah, several others. So Ron Moorhead of Sierra Sounds fame is going to be there as well. So you just contact anybody who's interested. You just contact Tom Yamarone or John Kirk for further information on that one.
Okay.
And both of them are on Facebook, by the way. So.
Well, Henry, is that about all? We have another caller.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure, I understand. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, it was wonderful to hear from you, Henry, and we thank you
Yeah.
for informing us about all these conferences coming up. I'm
Sure.
curious about the Arkansas one and the Oklahoma one. Those aren't too far away. So, okay. So, well, thanks for calling, Henry, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay, take care.
All right. 713, you're on the air.
How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
This is Luke Mendoza. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Lupe, what's up, brother?
I fixed to go on the show here in a few minutes with your dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say something. I was listening to the show, and I was at that site at that where the tents were torn up about a week or 2 weeks later after it happened with your dad, with Bob Garrett.
Yeah.
And I did find blood on the ground. It soaked in about half an inch to an inch into the ground.
Oh, that's right.
And,
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, and I don't know if people know about that. And but I did find blood on that spot on that site on the ground. What happened there, I don't know.
Did anybody collect a sample of it?
No. I don't know if Bob did or not, but I didn't want nothing to do with it. You know, I don't know what happened there. I know the area was torn up pretty bad, and I wouldn't try to look into it. I just
Nobody heard anything about any sheriff showing up or any investigations or anything?
I think Bob said they did, or he got harassed by him or something. But you know, you got to talk about that. I can't really talk about that, but you have to talk to Bob Garrett on that.
Yeah.
Because you know, he was the one that did the investigation and stuff. You know, and like, it was a pretty bad sight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy situation.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah. And I tell you, one of the best prints that I ever found was with Brandon. It was at night. I don't know what. Maybe go off the trail into that creek. Remember that when I found that print where that minnow was swimming inside of it?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
and there was another print in the middle of the creek, and you could see where it slipped into the bushes when it climbed over the other side of that creek. You know, and that was pretty good. You know, that was pretty cool. You know, but you know, I just wanted to call in and say about that. You know, that I did find blood on that one site, and but I got to go because I have to go on another show right now.
Okay. Well, we thank you for calling in, Lucy.
It's no problem. You know, God bless you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, brother.
See you, Brandon.
Yeah, see you later, bro.
Okay. Well, I know Billy has a couple of questions, but Billy, can you hold those questions till after we go to intermission?
Absolutely.
Okay. We also have some more questions from the chat. So everyone hang on, and we'll be back in a few moments. And this song is in honor of our guest. He specially requested it. It's Metallica of Wolf and Man. You want me to get that, Lauren, or are you going to get it?
I got it.
Okay. See y'all on the flip side. Okay, we are back after intermission, and that was Metallica of Wolf and Man. For request of Brandon Garrett. You like that hard stuff, don't you, Brandon?
Yeah, I do. I do.
I actually introduced Mom to that song recently.
Yeah,
got to improve the taste a little bit.
I have old classic rock ears, so it was like going. It's all right. I can handle it. I'm going to go ahead and let Billy ask his two questions, and then we're going to get to the questions in the chat. So,
all right.
Go ahead, Billy. You've been patient. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, Brandon, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, bro?
Oh, pretty good. I have really enjoyed listening to you tonight. And
thank you.
I noticed. I agreed with you. I've had about the same luck as far as with the game cameras, and whether to use bait or not. I've had about the same luck. Of course, I'm in Northeast Texas. I'm up a little ways from you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. My question, the one that always gets posed to me, and of course it's always changing, for a researcher, but what's your scariest, most hair-raising close encounter experience that you've had today?
Scariest? Let me see. Probably that night on that island.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the scariest because had no way to defend myself other than the machete.
Right.
And what's that going to do?
Well, that's trying to get you close to defend yourself with that.
Right.
Well, I have found, I thought what I had my most hair-raising experience about 2 years later changed. So the more that you're in this, and so I wasn't sure. Like I said, mine went from an up close and personal encounter to one trying to dump me out on the ground out of a deer stand. So mine changed, and everybody's always asking me, well, what's new with you? Well, so I can imagine out there on that island. Yeah, I agree with you. That would be very hair-raising.
Yeah, because one thing I didn't mention about it was when we could hear them messing with our boats. I was in a kayak and the other two guys were in a canoe, and we could hear them messing with the boats. And the next morning, the boats were pulled up way up on shore. So I mean, if they would have been pulled out, we would have been stuck there.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's not good.
No.
Because those swamps probably have alligators and all kinds of venomous snakes and everything else.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of both in there.
Have you? What about larger stick structures? Have you been finding any in your area?
I find a few. When it comes to stick structures, it has to really impress me for me to actually give it much because I do a lot of hunting myself, hog hunting, deer hunting and stuff, and some of the things that I see people presenting as stick structures are the same kind of things that me and some of the other guys, we actually make they're hunting lines that we hunt out of.
Sure. Yes.
And so when it comes to stick structures, it has to really impress me. I've found some on a number of occasions that have impressed me.
Right.
There was one a few years back. Was up in this one area, and there was a pine tree, young sapling pine tree that was bent over, and the top of it was actually woven around a stump, the base of the stump.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
That doesn't happen naturally, I'm afraid. That does not happen naturally.
No, it doesn't. And my first, thought was, okay, person did this, marking the trail. There was no trail there. We were bushwhacking way out in the bush. So it wouldn't. I mean, it made me think, and I found another one. It was actually not too far off of a trail, but close enough where kids could have done it, but it just didn't look like something person would have done.
Right.
And I found quite a few others as well that have made me stop and think. And some of them, I got on my website as well. Some of them I don't, but there's been a few that have caught my attention. But for the most part, I usually just if it's easy to explain, then it's probably what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I've seen, I walked up on two that weren't makeshift, blinds that hunters built or whatever else. I mean, there was no other explanation, but I'm the same way. It really takes something with a wow factor for me, because
right.
Like you, I'm a hunter. I'm in there. I see all kinds of things, but there's been two that stuck out in my mind. So excellent. So you said you had cast one and had an accident, had a misshapen foot.
Right.
What was it? Missing toes or?
No. The side of the foot looked like it'd been bent, kind of bent in a way, like some kind of injury.
Okay. Yeah, I've cast one, and it was missing. It only had two toes on it, and
really?
And you kind of think, what injury, but what happened? That it lost three toes, but yeah, very, very good. Well, I tell you, I have really enjoyed listening to you. I've been looking over at the website, and I'm going to pass you back to Lori. I'm going to listen in. I'm very intrigued.
Well, I got a question.
Go ahead, Grass.
With all your sightings, and you saw that young one with the face that seemed somewhat human, almost human type.
Right.
With all of your sightings and what you've studied with other sightings, like your dad and all the other people that you work with, what do you think Bigfoot is, as far as like possibly genetics or something? I know you've been thinking about this for years. What do you think Bigfoot actually is? Let's say related to us, because we always use us as a blanket.
Right. Well, what I think they are, I have no, I can't say anything positive because I really don't know. But to me, the most likely explanation is they're types of relics, from like Neanderthal type, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, stuff like that are still around, and with some probably interbreeding between them, different species, and possibly with humans as well, and
having to deal with different environments in the United States. You got different environments in the Himalayas and different environments everywhere else. So they're going to have different environmental influences on their genetics. But
exactly.
You've got the orange-haired types, the white-haired types. So you pretty much think they're like a relic of something, and not necessarily branched even from us, or are being connected to them at all. But something of humanoid type.
Right. Yeah. Kind of a humanoid type, not really directly related to us, not us, basically. There's but something very similar to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Laura.
Probably, but left over from, it just never really went extinct.
I agree totally.
Thank you.
Okay. Brad, do you have any other questions? I can go ahead and...
No, that was it. Go ahead.
Okay. Brandon, let me see if I can go back here to... Okay, the first question was, when you were speaking about the dogman of Tennessee, that your friend Jeff Siegel, I think you said his name was?
Right.
Okay. Was it in East or Western Tennessee that this picture was supposedly taken?
It was kind of central Western.
Okay. Also, Digger Dog has a question. He says, the photo of Brandon on your Facebook page, is that a camera or a camcorder that you're carrying? And if that is a camcorder, how stable is the video?
Which picture? Let me see.
I think the one that we did, the one where it's the one we used to advertise the program.
Okay.
There.
Yeah, I know which one he's talking about. The one on my shoulder?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what he's done.
Yeah, it's a POV camera.
Okay. POV camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it do pretty stable video?
Yeah, it does pretty stable. As long as I'm not jumping around or nothing. But I've been basically recording as I'm walking, so that way anything I catch, anything that goes in front of me or whatever, I caught it.
Okay. Hey, we're actually caught up on all of our questions. Not.
Well, there's a caller.
There is a caller. Well, we have one. 817 is listening in.
Oh, that's okay.
So, yeah. That if there's not a question mark next to the mic, they're listening in. So we try not to bother those people because they just call to listen in.
I always forget to put them on air anyway, just to make them squirm a little, I just forget about that question mark, and not on purpose. I really do forget it.
I've done that before.
I have a question for you, Brandon. Okay.
Okay.
What is the tallest Bigfoot that's been reported in the Sam Houston National Forest area?
The tallest?
What is the tallest? Yes.
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea?
No, I really couldn't say. There's
What's
been
the
too
tallest
many reported.
that anybody, you or anybody that you've been with has ever seen? What's the tallest that mountain could be?
Probably around 8 foot.
Okay.
Would be out of our team. About 8 foot would be the tallest one recorded there.
Okay. What about colors of hair?
Black. The blonde one that I saw. We've had a lot of red ones. And
Are we talking about long hair or close cut? I mean, not cut, because of course their hair's not cut, but short, like a shorter. They go to the barber shop.
Yeah, they're well manicured.
Coming for a major pedicure, right? I could just hear those Oriental.
You're a foot. Go away.
Oh my gosh, I could just imagine. Okay, but basically, very few long-haired ones, right? Mostly pretty sleek.
Yeah, for the most part, the blacker ones are more sleekish, or with the red ones tend to have a little bit longer hair, a bit more shaggy. And those are the ones you usually find, closer to the swamps and in the swampy areas. And I think it has something, probably for the bugs and mosquitoes, adaptation to that.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
I have to ask you now. You go out researching how often? Oh
wow.
Whenever you
usually,
can.
Yeah, whenever I can. Usually about 3 days a week on average. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on my work schedule and everything that's going on. But that's
I have to ask you the reason why do you do it?
The reason why do I do it?
Yes. I mean, is it for your own personal knowledge, or are you trying to seek evidence to prove their existence? What is your personal reason for, devoting your time, your finances, time away from your relationships, your family, everything else to do this thing? Why do you do it?
Kind of a mixture of both.
I see.
It's something that really, that I'm really interested in, really fascinated with, and to be able to, prove it, then that would be awesome. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Okay. How would you feel if someone finally had conclusive evidence that Bigfoot, Sasquatch was real? And then the whole world knew that they were real.
Would be happy.
You would be happy, or you wouldn't be?
I would be.
You would be?
Yeah, because it's I'd be happy, because then there it is. There's nobody can dispute anything now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you're going to stop what you're doing.
No, it'll be a personal quest. Always, study them, learn as much about them, as I can.
Who is the scientist going to go to when they have questions?
Yeah, that's a good question. It'll probably be us researchers, because we're the ones that have the information.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm so glad you said that, because I truly believe that we know what we know now because of people like you that get out there and look for evidence, and just by finding tracks, you can learn a lot about where it's going. You're going to learn a lot from a scene of where they've been and
do you
evidence
think they have
they've left behind.
I think they have a culture as far as family relationships and language and art, let's say.
Well, they do have like a culture as far as family. They have a language. Art, I can't really say if like the stick structure type stuff is an art, or if it's just them doing whatever. That I haven't, like I said, I'm not completely sure that most of it is actually them doing it. As far as family, yeah, they do live in family groups. They hunt as a group predominantly. When you see one, there's usually going to be another one or two there as well.
That's what I've always heard. And, yes.
And they're hardly ever actually alone. The thing about it is that when they usually see only one, because they're not right there beside each other. They're scattered off, kind of like kind of like coyotes do. They're in a group, but they're not side by side. They're separated. That's the same way Bigfoots do. They move as a group, but they're separated by a little bit of distance, within earshot of each other. So it's.
So you mean there's no 13 or 14 of them grouped in together, peeking out through a tree that somebody takes a picture of?
No. No.
Oh, come on,
we can only hope for that, right?
Babies up in the trees.
And they're not invisible either. So.
Well, what do you mean? You can't see it? What? Look, it's right there.
Yeah. Oh, I see that all the time. I'm like, no, it's nothing.
Blob squatters.
Yep.
I have issues, I'm sorry. Is Brandon a member of Bigfoot Under the Radar?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, you've been researching and... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just bringing up a time. We've got 9 minutes.
Okay. Brandon, you've researched in other states, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to a few other states.
Have you noticed a difference between the Sasquatch here in Texas and other places that you've been?
Yeah, actually I have. I've noticed, quite a bit of difference in a lot of cases. I lived in Colorado for quite a while, and there, what was there didn't seem anything like what we have here.
How so?
Well, for one thing, it's more. They're more peaceful type. I don't really want to say peaceful, but they're more.
They're less aggressive.
Right, less aggressive would be the right
word.
Where?
Out in the woods.
Are they less aggressive in Colorado or less aggressive in Texas?
They seem to be less aggressive further north.
Yeah.
Very, very aggressive here in Texas for the most part.
Wow.
Lean and mean here. I've always heard. Lean and mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been mean to Billy.
Poor Billy.
Sounds like it.
No, I've always heard
the same. Without running into a mean one.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Now, I've always heard the same thing, that they were, the further north you move, they were a little more docile, if you can say that. That ours down here seem to have more of an attitude about them, more of an aggressiveness.
Well, and it's the same way with southern people. We have more of an attitude than northern people do, too. So I think it must be the climate.
Oh, no. Here we go.
No comment. This Hoosier ain't going to say nothing.
We'll straighten this one out later.
Sock puppet out. Yep.
The video of what Lupe was talking about, I'm looking for it right now. I'm going to post it in the chat room. Anybody wants to see it? Those footprints.
Okay. We appreciate you doing that. You've been really a great guest, Brandon. We've enjoyed having you here.
No, thank you.
It's really, really interesting to hear from somebody in Texas, because most of the time, would you say you're pro-kill or no-kill?
No-kill. I have no intentions of killing anything, unless I absolutely have to, and for my own or
to defend yourself or your own, right?
Right. Yeah, it's simply personal safety. If
do you carry
if I have
while
to,
you're out there?
I usually don't, but sometimes I do. Depends on where I'm at. but I have a couple other guys that are always carrying. So
yeah, you got other things out there besides Bigfoot.
That's right.
Oh yeah, a lot of other things. We get a lot of feral pigs.
Yeah.
Cougars out here, believe it or not, they're here.
Yep.
Yep.
No, they don't exist in Texas.
Yeah.
Or the panthers either, right? Exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no panthers either. No jaguars. Even those is all natural habitat for them.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, we do have a lot of dangers here. A lot of snakes, a lot of poisonous snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Alligators, of course.
Of course.
You don't go out there all dressed in camo and paint?
Well, it depends. I usually wear camo most of the time anyway. But
that's his favorite color.
That's one of my favorite things is all the guys going out there dressed like an army ranger and ghillie suits and the whole shebang.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
No.
Bigfoot knows you're there.
Actually, I've learned. Like. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I've learned the more attention you draw to yourself, the better luck you're going to have. Actually.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes,
go out there and just be a human, and that'll draw them in.
Yeah. Exactly, because it's more a curiosity thing. You're not going to sneak up on one. I don't care what you think. You're not going to sneak up on one. You're not going to fool one like that. But it's so you want to get their attention. Get them get the curiosity factor. Kind of a psychological thing, I guess. Guess you could say. Get them wanting to come look at you, wanting to come check you out, and that's when you're going to have the most luck.
You don't do any calling or anything with the boom boxes?
It depends. On occasion, we'll usually don't have much luck with that, but I mean, it really depends. One of the guys, Tim, I mean, he can do a really spot on call, and he usually gets responses. But for the most part, you don't really get a whole lot. I mean, we have, but it's not something we do on a regular basis. But then again, it all depends on where the location that we're at too. Some locations, it works. Some locations it doesn't. But talking about the calling, you just reminded me of a funny story. You might enjoy this. Me and two of the other guys, the two that were on that island with me that night, we were back out there another night, and I had another guy with me. And they split off and went on the boats because they kind of got into it after that. They split off and were on the river in kayaks, and me and the other guy were on land. Well, we decided time to meet up, have some dinner, So we had to start heading back. They beat us back. They were already cooking dinner and everything, and we were coming across. There's a bridge that coming. You have to cross to get to where we parked at, and we were coming across the bridge and start hearing calls up in the woods close to this campground that we were parked by. And well, you can hear the other call, and obviously the other one, the other call was a person that they were kind of going back and forth with. We got up there where it was, it was my buddy Ron. He was trying to imitate it, and well, all of a sudden we start hearing this type sound. We're all like, what in the world's going on? Well, there was a car pulling it, just hauling butt out of the campground, dragging their tent behind them. And they just flew past us.
Somebody got the message.
You done had enough.
Well, Brandon, we're coming down to the end of the wire, and we just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was really great. You really were a great guest, and we really enjoyed finding out about South Texas and the research that you're doing down there. And I want to tell you, thank you for doing such a good job.
Thank you.
We depend on people like you to. We depend on all researchers, and that's what our program is all about. Is bringing on people like you that share your experiences and your knowledge and everything else with us. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Had a good time tonight.
Right, definitely. I haven't gotten a 90-minute warning yet, but I just want to let everyone know that next week we're having Kelly Shaw and the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, and it'll be the same time at 8 o'clock. We'll all be here, and surely, did anyone hear a 90-second warning?
We have 1 second.
No.
All right. We are now in archives, so go ahead and play that outro, and see everybody next Sunday.
Okay. Are we meeting after the show tonight or not?
Yeah.
We are? Okay. All right. Well,
Sure.
That's good.
I want to thank you, Brandon, for coming on tonight. You know, we really appreciate it. You were an excellent guest. You just really know your stuff, and I know a lot of people in the chat were just, really impressed by that. And so thank you so much for coming on tonight and representing Texas. That's always nice to have someone from the middle Southwest, or South Middle America doing their thing.
Somebody else who Bigfoot have been mean to besides Billy.
Poor Billy.
Yeah.
Poor Billy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on the night. I really enjoyed it.
We'd like to have you back sometime.
We sure would.
Excellent show, Brandon. Thank you for coming in.
Definitely.
No problem. That would be cool. I'd like to come back.
Get anything new happen? Any news you want to talk about? Just let us know.
Yeah, just call in and
Okay.
and let us know what you found or anything. We'd always enjoy hearing from you. So.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
Well, good luck. Keep up the good work that you're doing.
Yes.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Definitely. 3 times a week. That's dedicated right there.
Yes,
that is definitely dedicated.
Oh yeah, it's my thing.
Okay, well I guess we're going to call it a show. We'll see everyone next week. All right.
Hey, y'all have a good week.
Good night.
All right.
Good night, y'all.
All right.
Okay, I'm ending the
night,
call
everybody.
now. 5.
No, don't
4.
end the call yet. We got to play
Okay.
the outro first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get it down.
Okay, Graz, don't hang up, and here we go.